are after me again for a crime I don't even believe it. Yeah, the police are after me again. Yeah, the police are after me again for a crime I don't even believe it. Yeah, the police are after me, my friend. The police are after me, she said. Yeah, they held their gun to my head. Somehow I ducked, escaped, and fled the scene. Well, they already ran my ID. Yeah, they already ran my ID. They pulled me off the train in the Portland rain. Mid-November ain't the warmest ride, and the crater ain't the best place to hide, especially when you're riding suicide. Especially when you're riding suicide. Yeah, the police are after me again for a crime I don't even believe in. Yeah, the police are after me again. Yeah, the police are after me again for a crime I don't even believe in. Yeah, the police are after me, my friend. So I got back on when they were gone, on the flagged old gondola. Then I smoked the resin in my bunk, cause the police didn't find it. Woke up in a mountain range, woke to a cold, wet, lonesome pain. And then the time it came to get the fuck off the train, because the police are after me again for a crime I don't even believe in. Yeah, the police are after me again. Yeah, the police are after me, my friend, for a crime I don't even believe in. Yeah, the police are after me again. She said the police are after me for being dirty, trespassing. They hate me cause I ain't clean, but I think they're the ones who are dirty.
Howdy, folks. Welcome to the show.
What's up?
Yep, this is the Garret Schuelke podcast. I am your boy, Garret Schuelke.
That's your boy.
Damn right. And we are once again back in Kalamazoo on a beautiful December day. And I say beautiful because it's not storming like it's supposed to be later this week.
I think it's even sunny outside, or at least the sun's shining through the clouds.
Yeah, it'll get through some of that gray dampness there.
Mm-hmm.
And the voice you're hearing is actually an OG guest.
Original.
Yeah, because you, sir, were on episode 3 of this podcast.
And what are we on now?
Let's see. Shit. I think we're episode like 23 or 24.
All right.
So, yeah.
20 episodes later.
Yep. This is an OG guest from way back in the day. He is a traveling folk musician and hat connoisseur right here from Kalamazoo, though he has performed all around Europe and in North America.
South America.
And yes, indeed, South America. We will get to that. And we're lucky enough to have him on because he's currently back in Kalamazoo until next weekend, I believe.
Yep. I'm leaving on the 16th, Monday, but I do have some little shows on this upcoming weekend. I don't know how quick the podcast will get out or not, but...
Oh, it'll get out there in the quickness.
In the quickness?
Yeah, I can make it quick.
All right. Well, Friday at 7:30, we're playing at 356 South Kalamazoo Mall with Roosh.
Nice. But, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show, Kjartan Code.
Woo. You're not supposed to applause for yourself, but yeah, just imagine that.
DJ Khaled air horns.
All the listeners out there are just clapping.
Yeah, folks, you may know him here in Kalamazoo as a musician, as part of the Kjartan Code trio. Also known him as a member of the Szkojani Charlatans.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say, I re-listened to like the podcast you were on previously.
Uh-huh.
Feel free to punch me in the face if I offend your sensibilities with my mispronunciations.
Dude, I am immune to mispronunciations. I was born with like 16 correct mispronunciations of my own first name, so...
I assure you, there shall be more. And
I'm ready for it.
Yep, and today we're here to talk about, just do some general catch-up about your latest project, the Het Hat Club.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, the one I'm really especially interested in, Chile, which you have been living in. And for those perhaps living under a rock, or if you're a fan of this podcast, because I kind of know my audience, they're going through a little uprising there at the moment.
Yep.
Just a little one.
It's day 52, I think.
Yep. But we'll get to that. Charlatans, thanks for coming on again, man.
Thanks for having me, Garrett.
Yeah, it's very great to see you again. And how's it been going back here in Kalamazoo?
I've been in Kalamazoo for a month now with my son Vitomir. He's 3 years old. We both had our birthdays here. And mainly I've been hustling, selling vintage clothes and patches, selling stuff on Craigslist, Facebook, just to be able to afford being a father. And sending child support when I'm not able to be in Chile, and paying flight tickets and such.
Yep, and before we began this podcast, folks, Kjartan nearly sold me a coat that I very much liked.
The coat I'm wearing.
Yeah, but the length is right. Unfortunately, it's not meant to be because you, sir, are in excellent shape, and I am just an unrepentant fat ass. So it did not work.
It was a girth issue, that's what we said.
You see, I am not politically correct, and I will call myself a lard ass. Okay, so, I've known you for a couple years now. Actually, it's going to be coming up on a decade now, I think, with this 2020's coming up. And I follow your career.
Yeah.
So, as I noticed, this is kind of a pattern here where you'll come back here for around a month or so.
Yeah.
Around the holidays.
Yeah, I was here last year for 3 months, and the year before that I was here for Christmas for a month. So yeah, there was about 6 years where I was barely in Kalamazoo, but now it's pretty regularly, at least once a year.
Yep, and I know you've been performing around here with the Kjartan Code trio.
Yeah.
You, matter of fact, had a performance this morning.
Yeah, that was the Unity Church on Whites Road, I think it is. It wasn't the Kjartan Code trio necessarily because it was with the backing band of the church, but Carolyn Keeble plays in that, so it was at least 2 of the 3 members of the Kjartan Code trio. So,
yeah, how has the performances been this time around?
Well, we didn't really book many performances in Kalamazoo. It wasn't my main focus. Even was to be performing much here. It just, in the month before I arrived, we started to think, we should do something, because this summer I was 6-7 months touring with the Het Hat Club, so
that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, well, I mean, everything's fully flexible with pronunciation.
This is going to be a fun podcast. Yeah, but I do remember. So the performance level this time is a lot more low key.
Yeah, we have a new bassist, Nathan Durham, with us here in Kalamazoo. He's a multi-instrumentalist. He's been playing bass and clarinet with us, and it's quite nice. We didn't have much time to prepare or rehearse, but I really like the sound that we've got going. I don't know if this Kjartan Code trio is ready to play on a big stage festival in its current formation, but we sounded great at the Grand Traverse Distillery last week, and we played at we're playing next Friday at Friendship Village. It's an open performance for the elderly who live there, but anybody from the community is welcome to come see us there.
Yeah, I did catch you twice, actually, when you were here after our first podcast, when you performed at Tip Top in Grand Rapids, and then later at Harmony Hall.
Yeah. Oh, it was Tip Top. We played at Tip Top and Harmony Hall?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was...
Yeah, Tip Top was
2 years ago.
Yeah,
that was 2 years ago that we had
man. Time flies, huh?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I caught you last year. When
last year we started using a loop pedal in the group because I laid down the bass tracks and had the click, or something. Carolyn still was doing the rhythm, but it was nice just to be a trio and still have the bass line in the songs.
Yeah, anything majorly different this time around besides like the new member?
Well, Bert Ebright, he's on pause from playing music right now. So yeah, we're missing the guitarist, and we had a bassist instead. So, which I kind of prefer, to be honest, having a bass and drums rather than guitar and drums. Just it gives it's more groovy. I mean, the soul of the music is need the bass and drums, and the guitar is like key, but it has a role. What I like to be more supportive, or I like bass and drums.
All right, so I want to do just a general catch up. So, if I remember where we last left off on that fateful day 2 years ago in episode 3, yep, you were a member of the Szkojani Charlatans.
Yeah.
And I think you just then put out another album with them.
Yeah, well, did I just put out another album with them? What would that have been? 2 years ago? Yeah, well, yeah, my accordionist in Hungary, me and him made an album with mostly originals, with another bassist and a guitarist, and it was called, well, it still is called Taposi Csicskatánc, which was Hungarian for kind of like how do I explain? Taposi Csicskatánc means like poser, like wussy dance or something. Like because we were playing folk music, but like most folk music fanatics in Hungary would really like not consider us to be up to the standards, or because we're like city people or foreigners, that that's actually like tapos is the food that chickens eat in a factory. It's like this corn pellets. So they call like city people taposi because they don't like know how to ride a horse or get like raised eating quality food. They just eat like instant whatever or something like that.
So these are like some old timey traditionalist types.
Yeah, we were making fun of ourselves we were calling the music and our style kind of like the most offensive way that folkloric people might call our music.
Oh, brother, if you would have waited like 2 more years, you could have called the album "Okay, Boomer."
Yeah, something like that. Well, yeah, since then, we recorded last year an album with the Szkojani Quartet, that's the quartet, because we had a bass player, Bo Bothwell, who's the ethnomusicology professor at K College. And that one was live, recorded there. Happy with it, a lot of originals and acoustic sound. But I just, I have a CD that's in the process of releasing right now. We recorded September in Budapest, and it's done. It's mastered. The cover's done. We're sending it in to get pressed on vinyl. It's about to come out on Spotify and iTunes, if that still exists. All that stuff. It's called Schengen Shuffle, and I'm more excited to talk about Schengen Shuffle rather than Taposi Csicskatánc.
No, that's a good point. That's actually a very good point. Let's talk about the stuff you're actually involved in at the moment. Instead of a bunch of past stuff that is in the past.
So, well, the past was Szkojani Charlatans. Het Hat Club is the Szkojani Charlatans. It's just that when I'm not there in Hungary, since I had my kid, they formed a new band called Het Hat Club.
Yeah, let's get into that. And will you just say it one more time so I can pronounce this shit correctly?
Yeah, hate. Like I hate you.
Oh, you do?
No, I don't, but it's just
because I love you, Kjartan.
You know, it's a H-E with a dash above it, which makes it an A instead of an E.
Yep.
So it's a Het Hat Club.
Which stands for 6-7 Club in Hungary.
Other way around, 7-6.
The YouTube description is wrong, then.
Oh, well.
Someone should point that out.
Yeah, let's comment on that. Anyways, the reason it's called 7-6, I didn't name the band. So what happened with the Szkojani Charlatans and Het Hat Club is we were on tour in March in California, 2019, and we were touring as both of the bands, but the music was the same and all the members were the same. It's just that we had different old CDs and some different audiences for the bands. Het Hat Club was more swing and Balkan and instrumental, and Szkojani Charlatans was my compositions and songs that I sing on. So once Het Hat Club and me got together again, we were trying to decide if we should be Szkojani Charlatans or Het Hat Club. We decided that because I'm not always living in Europe, we'll let them continue to be Het Hat Club, because they can be it without me, but they can't be Szkojani Charlatans without me. So we started to call it Kjartan and the Het Hat Club, so people would know that Het Hat Club was going to have a singer and be playing a little different than swing and Balkan, but sung songs of Balkan modern stuff. We have it all, a lot of influences now in the folk music, besides the pure folk music.
Yeah, I have listened to it, and since like I said, I followed your career for a very long time now, and it's quite a contrast if I had to compare the two. First of all, how would you define the music of Het Hat Club? Because when I was looking it up, it seems like both on like SoundCloud and YouTube and Facebook, you just can't copy and paste the description. You gotta write a new one, apparently.
Yeah.
It seems like it's a mixture of Balkan music, gypsy jazz, and the one that I'm very interested in, gypsy hip hop or
Gyp hop. We were coming up with lots of names, new names for the style, because it's a kind of natural fusion of Balkan music and Hungarian music and Romanian and gypsy music, and then we're using hip hop beats. We're using groove, like some Latin American rhythmic influences, and also just a general kind of festival rock sort of backing. Putting drums and electric bass and electric guitar to folk songs that never had that. The main thing that we don't want to do is be like a forced kind of fusion. I'm not really into taking folk songs and like trying to make it jazz, or I really wanted the songs to feel like they naturally moved, like a evolution of the folk music, and not just a fusion of them, not just trying to take folk music and put it into a format of being salsa or being jazz or doing metal folk music. We wanted it to feel like the songs were just adapting new instruments and fitting with being able to play Friday at midnight at a music festival, which the Het Hat Club before I joined it, and the Szkojani Charlatans before the Het Hat Club was with. We were acoustic-based music, and people like to hire us to play at 6 o'clock, something kind of while people were eating, or in the background, or
nice.
or at folk music festivals, or it was the slot of being like uppity. Maybe if it was like a right crowd, you can go at 10 o'clock. But we started to really want to. Well, we have DJs. Most of the festivals we played are at least 70% with DJs and only 30% live music. So we really want our music to be like catchy and dancey.
Yeah. So when it comes to gypsy jazz and hip hop, are these just terms that you guys have come up with to describe music, or is there like actually a scene for these things going on?
Okay, well, gypsy jazz definitely has a scene. There's the Django Reinhardt that was from Belgium. It's called Manouche Jazz or Gypsy Jazz, and the Het Hat Club was founded as a gypsy jazz group, and they played Dixieland, and they played Balkan stuff, but with the Manouche guitar, which is what Django Reinhardt played. And all the songs, if you listen to their previous album that I'm not on, you can hear this chank, 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 chank from the gypsy jazz guitar. So that's very established, and there's festivals celebrating that style of music, and you can dance, swing to it, and a lot of people around the world are now getting really proficient in it. It's got a lot of dexterity and skill, virtuosity to it.
A lot of acolytes to it, a lot of fans.
A lot of guitarists and saxophone, clarinet, violin, people kind of dedicating their life to playing that specific style. Where gyp hop is our own thing. It doesn't exist really, and we're not 100% jib hopping, because to be really jib hopping would be like we would probably need like a full-time rapper and like get more into the hip hop scene, but using the music of the folklore of Romania and Hungary. So we do. Our drummer now, he studied specifically hip hop drumming in London.
Really?
Yeah, and he has a great project called HAP, the Haraszti Adam Project. They're coming out with their second album. It's more like neo soul and hip hop influenced jazz. What they do.
Well, the UK has their own type of hip hop. Was it grime? I think it's called.
Perhaps, yeah. I mean, this is so the hip hop influence we're looking at is more of the like live music hip hop. So with drummer and a band, it's kind of like jazz hip hop, I guess. And so we say jip hop. It's because we're taking either writing songs with the chords and melodies and style of Romania, Hungary, Balkans, but we're putting hip hop beats onto it, which has never happened before.
Can I just make one comparison? I'm sure you've probably gotten this before, and I only say it once. So
Go-Go Bordello? No.
Gosh darn it! You read my mind. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I was like, that's the only.
Yeah, I was. So I was about to bring that up. Yeah. A influence there.
Well, when I was when we first met each other, I remember hearing.
You met them?
No, us. You and me.
Oh, okay.
I was listening to Go-Go Bordello a bit, but I never was a big fan. I liked it. I was at some parties in the Vine neighborhood, or somebody would put it on, and we'd all feel like we're like Balkan gypsy party, and we'd dance on the table or something, and that was like so cool. And I think that
remember those days.
That definitely, that vibe and that mentality is like. Everybody has this picture of like Russian or Eastern European and gypsy, like this party being like really wild, everybody drinking and dancing a lot. So I think that for sure Go-Go Bordello had a big influence on me without me knowing it. But musically, I never really tried to cover any of his songs or looked at... I never was really trying to be Go-Go Bordello or have... It seriously isn't a big influence unless I really look deeper in the cultural influence that Go-Go Bordello had that probably created a climate where people were more willing to listen to gypsy music, or just it probably made it more in style to look like that or do that kind of thing. So definitely it had a big influence, but without really me being conscious of it.
Okay, and I guess I'll just ask, and I personally don't have a problem with this because I'm a white dude from North America, and I'm not putting you on the spot. I swear to God, I'm not.
Okay.
But yeah, has there been a problem with using the term gypsy at all to refer to your music at all?
Well, kind of. Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult because in Eastern Europe, Romani people have a lot of repression. I mean, they were enslaved and freed 10 years later than the slaves were freed in the U.S., and there's a lot of racism against them, but also part of their culture is about being separate, and thievery doesn't have the same kind of... it's not really considered a sin in the culture. So there's just tension, racial tension between them, and the gypsies also like to keep themselves as a different race, and so it's a very complex issue of accountability and fault, because there are a lot of really poor gypsies who are thieves, and there's instances of rapes or attacks, and in both ways, and a lot of people don't want gypsies in their village or don't think that they're like humans. I've had people tell me, they meet me in a little village and they say, oh, you're from another country, that's fine. I like Slovakians, I like Hungarians, Romanians, I like all people, but gypsies aren't people. Oof. They've said to me this, and I, as a liberal white American, when I first was there, I couldn't understand how people could be this straight up racist. And after being over there 10 years, I see like more of the underlying issues. It's a vicious cycle of. I've been robbed by gypsies more than 10 times. So, and I also
like those instances with like your van and that.
Yeah, I was robbed in Istanbul in the apartment. I mean, I never been physically robbed like by violence or gunpoint. It's always like trickery. Like
you leave and then like an hour or so later you come back and it's cleared out.
Yeah, you leave, you get pickpocketed, or you left your phone in your pocket on the code, or you left your bag in a room and you're not there. You have got to be I mean, it's the sort of like a Robin Hood-ish mentality that a lot of gypsies that I've met have, is like, if you have more than me, then like we should be equal. So me stealing your cell phone is just balancing out the inequality that exists. So
Sounds legit.
I mean, once you lose your phone and it has all your contacts and your music in it, it's really annoying. Or it's hard. But I've always felt like it's some karmic balance. I go to communities learning music, and it's also a way of watching out for your back. If you most of the time. I've never been, like I said, physically robbed by violence or like force, and in that way, anytime I got robbed, it's because I wasn't careful enough with my items.
I mean, it's just a shitty thing that unfortunately happens in life.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not enough to like anger you to the point that you want someone enslaved or oppressed.
So speaking about saying the word gypsy, it's complicated because a lot of Romani that I meet, and I've asked them about this. They prefer to be called gypsy because they're like, just call us whatever you call us in your language. Like in Hungarian, it's called Szkojani, and Szkojani is derogatory too. And gypsy is the English word. I mean, you would go to Transylvania, they know that they're called gypsy. They're just like, that's the word that you use in English for them. So, and I made a documentary which was going to finally be released next summer. It's called Wannabe Szkojani. It means like a wannabe gypsy. And I had backlash only from Western sources, so mostly people who are academically or highly involved in Romani music from the U.S., from France, from Belgium, were the only people who had. No Hungarian came out and told me they had a problem. I mean, also you can look into the power dynamics of it. Maybe it's only people who have more power who are willing to confront you about this issue, because Romani don't have the privilege of even wanting to argue about what to be called. But so it's really highly debatable for me. I will use the word gypsy or Romani depending on my audience to best communicate what it is, because I find since there's not many Romani people living in Michigan, there's really, if I was to call my music Romani music, I'd have to educate everybody to what a Romani is in the first place.
Well, I have a surprise for you, Kjartan. You see, I called you in on the basis that we're going to be podcasting, but surprise, this is an accountability process for your use of this word.
Oh yeah,
I've been very offended all this time by it. I just had to wait for you to come back to Kalamazoo to do this.
Really?
Yeah, we're here to talk about your privilege. Okay, so let's talk about the Het Hat Club, the transition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, as I know you from the Charlatans, very much folk music.
Yeah.
And very straight-laced. I mean, right now you are very fashionable. You're rocking the vest, nice shirt. You got the hat, and of course the coat that you try to sold me, but I'm too fat for. But yeah, quite a switch up, both in music style and even in your personal style. We switched over to Het Hat Club.
Yeah.
A little bit more grungy, a little bit more punk.
Yeah.
Yeah, how was that transition for you from genres to, I guess, even lifestyle, maybe?
Well, 2020 is around the corner. Things are like really heating up in the world. So part of it was that there'd been this nostalgia since maybe 2005 for the 20s or the old times, going back to the farm and all the and getting away from rock instruments like bass guitar, electric guitar, drum kit, synths. It was like we wanted to return to our roots, and we were looking to the styles of the past. It's like a hope for the better ways or natural materials and how things were made better in the past. And now it's just to get a nice vintage clothes is harder because they're older, they're falling apart. That's one thing. Another thing is being more conscious of revolutionary things, and also I wanted to just like break out of the mold I'd gotten myself into of being like this vintage folkloric band and join into the modern scene, connect my music more to like the people who like to go and listen to electronic dance music or rock music. Yeah, I mean, it's also that this folkloric vintage thing started to be like a museum thing where people would look at us and like see it like a theater, or you couldn't really relate. You could feel the music in yourself, but I needed to bring it into the modern time as well, like, and also feel that we were not just recreating the past, but that we were being our own culture. So I started to like want to really feel like I was my music, and I wasn't just an American going to Hungary pretending to be a gypsy playing some old music wearing these clothes from a different era. And it was just also one reason is I'm starting to bald. So my hair, it was long, it looked like crap, so I decided to just bleach it, cut it into a mullet, and just like embrace the like crappy haircut to like the fullest level.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 29.
Holy shit, you're young still. I'm 32 and I miss my youth.
Yeah, you know, I got tired of wearing these dress shoes every time, especially I'm traveling around, they get worn out. I just put on some sneakers, some jeans.
They're not very good for rambling around with, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, the main thing musically was I was pushing for, I had been like anti-electric guitar, bass, drums, like I already said, and this time I was like, let's use it, but just like, now we've had this 8 years of training in the folkloric way. We're not going to just be like a rock band trying to play gypsy music or Hungarian music. We're going to be like a band that learned to play folk music, now learning to play rock instruments. And so that gives our perspective a total different. I wanted to avoid being that rock band who wants to try to play music from East Europe, but the other way around. I feel like I did enough training with the folkloric way that then I started to learn electric bass, and our acoustic guitar started to learn electric guitar. And the drummer, we really worked with a lot, like about how to play in each song. We really tried to make each song work with these instruments.
Yeah,
and that's what happened in the 90s in the Balkans and in Romania, was that musicians started to get their hands on keyboards, drum kits, electric guitars, electric basses, and started using them how they saw fit to their music. So we're basically just doing the same thing.
Yeah, what's your position in the band? Like, what instruments do you play?
Well, I switched to electric bass from violin, and I sing. So my position is I'm the front man. I talk to the audience, I sing 90% of the songs, and I sing in Romanian, Hungarian, English, and Roma, the Gypsy language.
Well, this is Gypsy hip hop. Do you rap?
I do rap. I rap in English. I have written. There is a rap on the album.
Yeah, yeah, it's actually I don't know. Is it a single? Because I know you made a music video for it called "Melon Boy."
Well, the Melon Boy is not a rap. That's the song.
Oh,
but,
it isn't?
Yeah, I mean,
Really?
What'd you do last night, Melon Boy?
Yeah,
I got like
a great video.
Straight up rap where it's no melody in the voice and it's just like.
Okay, this I have got to listen to.
Yeah, it's on the album that we could listen to it like hypothetically right now.
Well, actually, I shall insert that in 5, 4, 3, 2.
I'd like to take this moment to dedicate this song to all the members of the Het Hat Club. Pito Janos, Vali Mochari, Isak Mishri, Harasti Adam. What's up in the club? Budapest, represent. You didn't know what Het Hat means? It means 7-6. Now you know. Airbnb, rent control, pay the fee. No space left for the homeless and me. Tell the truth, don't disguise it in white lies. Fuck police, what matters is black lives. Tax the rich for schools and libraries. No new wars, Iran's not the enemy. No fake news, hidden disguises. We're in the midst of an ecosystem crisis. Living cold lives, but we started pewter in the right century, but the wrong future. Life's a big boomerang, trash it, leave a stain, throw out, come back. Now you can feel the pain. Religion is fiction, I believe in a bigger bang. Smash the system, and life's no computer game. We only got one, no reset, so try again. Fix the glitches, reprogramming climate change. Please, Schengen shuffling up in the zone. 90 in, 90 out. Where the money at? Where we go? Where the music, let it flow. Shout out to Amazonia right now. 18 days burning, what a shame. Live up. Educate, hate, hot. Taking it the
I should just run down to the car. We could listen to it. Then you'd have.
No. It'll be. Trust me. It'll be better if I like insert it in there, because then it'll be the actual song.
Totally.
And yes, we are recording again. Because back in the day, I would just like when you were first here, you had to go to the bathroom. I just left it on, then came back. Then it's like I had to go in and cut it up. Yeah. Now it's like, okay, just stop it, then insert the song, and then do that.
Yeah.
That's my creative process. And we're back. Anyway, okay, so we were talking about that. So, how has the reception been for the Het Hat Club so far?
We've been doing a lot of social media too, posting, and we've in Hungary. We pretty much entered the festival scene in the bars. I think it's fair to say we're one of the top bands of the underground.
Okay, and you mentioned that before you joined up with them that they had an album out before.
Yeah, it's called Balkanoush. It's about the mix of Balkan and Gypsy swing.
Okay, so like, what are the differences between the previous album and the current album you out, besides you being in it, of course?
Well, Balkanoush has a tuba as the bass, and it's all instrumental. It has 2 original songs on it, but it's mostly about mixing swing and Balkan, and it's instrumental and no drummer. It's got a Django Reinhardt Manouche guitar on it. Now, the Schengen Shuffle has got electric bass instead of tuba. It's got a drum kit. It's got an electric guitar instead of an acoustic guitar. And I play violin a little bit, and I sing. So all of those 5 things are different. The thing that's the same about the album is the accordionist, Pito Janos, and the saxophonist, Valentin Monchari, are on it. That's the only 2 same things. But you can hear, we still perform some of the more Balkan songs from that older album.
Yeah, I gotta say too, I was looking at the album cover, and where did you guys get the idea for that? Cause,
the Het Hat Club logo, you mean? The HETHAT, or the album cover for Schengen Shuffle?
Yep, the cover for that, because
so
it reminded me of like old-timey punk covers, like the Dead Kennedys, I think, had an album cover similar to that.
Well, I gotta tell you what Schengen is. Schengen is the zone of Europe. It's the agreed-upon open borders of Europe. So that means that between France, Spain, Italy, Germany, Sweden, Hungary, Czech, it's open. You can go without passport control, and you also have a 90-day
checkpoints or anything like that.
Since the immigrant crisis, they've had more checkpoints, but it's not like any official borders where you need a stamp in your passport. You get one stamp when you enter as a U.S. citizen for a 90-day tourist visa for the Schengen zone. Now,
was weird the first time I had to deal with that. I didn't understand it. I went to another country in Europe and I was like, what?
Zach, come hither. Please tell us your...
I don't need to butt in. Just saying, I knew what that meant, and yeah, it's confusing for U.S. people unless it's explained, because it makes them more like the States, so you can just travel freely.
Exactly. So like Schengen zone is basically like the European Union states. And then there's countries that are like Puerto Rico. They're part of the EU, but they're not in the Schengen zone. That's Romania, Bulgaria, Croatia. Mm-hmm. And then there's places like Mexico, Serbia. It's not part of the EU or Schengen zone. So we travel between all of those countries. We crossed in and out of Schengen zone maybe 10 times or more this summer. Really? And also the musical style is that we're playing Eastern music, so outside of the Schengen zone, and then we're playing inside the Schengen zone to inside Schengen zone audiences, but also with Western instruments. So it's kind of a East meets West aspect, and it's the Schengen shuffle. I had a dictionary definition for it for the album. It's the main Schengen shuffle is people who get 90-day visas will go out of Schengen zone to extend their visa a little longer. And another part of the Schengen shuffle is people who live in Romania or the Balkans will come into the Schengen zone to make more money because they have a higher minimum wage. So it's a seasonal, you come to work for 6 months and you go back to your family. That's a Schengen shuffle. And then the other Schengen shuffle is that it's a dance. What mixes the folkloric dances of Hungary and Romania and the Balkans with hip-hop and mosh pit and salsa mashup. It's a shuffle of all those styles. And then, it's the musical combination when you take Western styles and you mix them with Eastern styles.
This question just popped in my head, and I'm just curious. Has the whole mess with Brexit done anything to the zone at all? Since that crisis is still going on?
Well, Britain is not part of the Schengen zone, and it never was. So it hasn't really changed. You could go to Britain and leave the Schengen zone, where Ireland. No, Ireland's also not Schengen zone, I believe. There's different. You can be EU and not in the Schengen zone, and you can be in the Schengen zone and not EU. Switzerland and Norway are part of the Schengen zone, but they're not part of the EU.
Okay, I guess since you've been in Het Hat Club and have been living in Europe, has Brexit affected you or anyone around you at all?
Not really, personally,
because
we don't go to Britain. But there is, it's affecting people because a lot of people go to work in England. But it's kind of been nothing's really happened yet with Brexit. So there's been no finalization. So things are still as they were.
Oh, okay.
At least when I was there, like Brexit has not been finalized.
Yeah, it still hasn't.
Right, so so everything was functioning like it was before regarding going in and out of the country. Everything's just still talk.
Okay then, let's get back to the album then. Okay, so what was the recording process for the album? Was it like any different than what you do with the Charlatans, particularly? Yes,
we had a sound engineer. I mean, I think it is different. The last time I recorded with Szkojani Quartet in Kalamazoo, we did it all in 3 hours on the stage at Kalamazoo College. And the album before that, Sckojani, we spent 3 weeks with a DIY recording studio in a squat where my friend, who doesn't know really how to do sound engineering, was working it, and we didn't have it. It was mastered by a freaking online computer program mastered it. So this was not top level, and before that we were always doing DIY and like live recordings. So this
there you go, DIY, lo-fi, indie.
Yeah, I mean the last recording was done. We were each in separate rooms, and we recorded live together the tracks, and then we did like 3 takes, and then we would edit. If there was a mistake, somebody could go in and redo their part, but it was on top of what we had already done. And then I did the vocals after everything had been recorded, on top of the song. And then we did it in September. We went in for 2 full days, and then we came back in the end of September and did the fixes that we'd listened to, that we need. Somebody wasn't happy with the solo, or we needed the different rhythm there. And then we've spent the last, since September, kind of editing, and then now we just mastered it. It's ready. You can hear half of the album is on SoundCloud now, so you can go listen to that. But it's coming out really soon, the full album. But I'm gonna give you an advanced copy so that you can listen to it and you can play some tracks from it on this podcast.
Okay, and so we talked about a little bit about the reception. You're already performing in clubs, at festivals.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's it been outside, like in the rest of Europe?
You mean with the with the festivals, or with being in Europe? Or
Yeah. Have you guys reached out to any other countries?
So we're mostly known in Greater Hungary. That means like where Hungarian people live, which is also in Romania and Serbia. We have festivals organizers now that we know, people who own bars in Hungary, and we got connected to the Goulash Disco, which is on an island off the coast of Croatia.
The Goulash Disco
is a festival. It's really great. It's on the beach and off the Croatian coast, and
it has nothing to do with the popular American meal, goulash.
Well, goulash is the Hungarian dish. It's a kind of stew, and also they eat.
There goes my bad food pun joke.
So it has everything to do with the dish, because goulash is like a spicy stew that is from Hungary but is eaten all over the Balkans and Germany. So the reason the festival is called Goulash Disco is because it's like a spicy mix of different flavors from different countries and mixed together. So, but with the Balkan flavor, that's kind of really what it's saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, and as I mentioned, you guys have a music video out for the album so far, called Melon Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a very energetic, interesting music video. Where are you guys at exactly in that?
We're at the Takatuka Island Festival. It's a little island that's owned by our friends in Budapest, and it's an hour north of Budapest on the Danube River. It's 800 people go to this festival every year, and it's really small, mostly nature on the island. They've only built, there's no real buildings there, there's just a stage and some kind of huts and tents, and yeah, that's where you can see us getting on a boat. You have to take a boat to get there. It's like a 7-minute boat ride, and it's Takatuka and Goulash Disco are our favorite festivals.
Yeah, is that like a sandbar area that you were in?
Yeah, there's a little beach at the tip of the island where the river moves around it.
Yeah, and alright, the song is called Melon Boy. Is there like a particular deeper meaning, or is it just a really fun song about boys that eat melons?
It's mainly, it's secretly shouldn't say this on the podcast. It's because our saxophonist had a month of really noxious and bad farting when he got to California. I don't know if it was because his first meal was at a burger joint. What's that place called? Really popular out
Burgerville?
there. No, it's out in the West Coast.
White Castle?
No, man, I can't remember. But it doesn't matter. He had these, and my accordionist grew up on a farm where they made melons. One summer they didn't sell, and they had this huge rotting pile of melons. And the farts of our saxophonist smelled exactly like rotting melons.
Was he very excited to eat this? Like he never got this in his own country?
I don't know. There was something about being in the U.S. for a month that made him have really bad farts, and they were happening all the time. We started calling him Melon Boy because it smelled like he had a rotting melon in his belly. But then Melon Boy is also a really sexy guy, and he's kind of like a boy toy to a lot of girls in Hungary. So we started calling him Melon Boy for his farts, but it just changed into like that he's a sexy dude, and so we like the idea of us playing on a big pile of melons. We really wanted to go to Romania, where there's some Romani, some gypsies who specialize in selling melons in the summer, and they'll have huge piles of melons, watermelons. And we wanted to go play on a pile of watermelons, but
well, you did get a lot of watermelons that
we got, I think, 60 watermelons. We wanted
that's a lot of watermelons.
We wanted a mountain of watermelons, but
that is a mountain, I would say.
It was a little mound, not a mountain.
A mountain is a mountain. Well, tell me, how does it feel to get a watermelon smashed on your head like that?
Oh man, it's good.
Because that did make me flinch, but then I don't know if like European melons are softer.
Oh no, they're hard. We had all of us concussions after the music video.
Very nice. That shows how real you are as musicians. All right, so you got the album coming out. You got the dank music video. You're performing.
Yep.
So, anything going on with the near future? There's still extensive plans to perform with the Het Hat Club?
Yeah. All right. I'm going back to Chile. I'm going to try to keep doing some solo project. I'm going to try to work with other people on other styles of music, some original compositions more dealing with political matters. I have one song out on my SoundCloud that I made there just week or two after the revolution broke out, and it kind of is explaining what happened in Chile. I think we should listen to that now.
Yeah. Indeed, we will. Very good. You're the one that decided to make this stop point. So yeah, let's listen to that one, shall we?
In Chile, a billionaire president pushes austerity while the military represses protesters. Thousands have been arrested. Knowing Chile's history, this is very dangerous. The solution here and across the world is obvious. Put power where it belongs, with working people. It was not just teenagers evading metro tickets. It was not just juvenile acts of vandalism. It was not just high school students in rebellion. The youth rose up, not to save 4 cents more. They did it because their mothers and fathers could not rebel. They did it for the people killed, imprisoned, and silenced. They did it for all those who could not get up. Left with the looming threat of a bleak future, teenagers took a stand, disabling the metro system. With no means to profit, Metro Incorporated suspended all operations, thus forcing Santiago to a full halt, sparking the catalyst of revolution.
Estamos en guerra contra un enemigo poderoso, implacable, que no respeta a nada ni a nadie, que está dispuesto a usar la violencia y la delincuencia sin ningún límite.
Chile is not at war. The people are united. Of course, we've disabled the means of transportation. How else could we get your attention? This is the consequence of what the state has led us to become. This is not civil disorder. This is people tired of abuse, rising up, taking action against all odds. They have taken away so much, they have taken even our fear. They need fear to establish the conditions necessary to validate their most violent repression, so they can be seen as the saviors of order and peace. But we will not return to the former order and thus regress to the same injustices, the same abuses, and the same excuses, leaving to oblivion the revolution that we so dearly need. No, we will not let them shock fear into our hearts. That is what they want, to make us forget our demands. Our demands! Constitutional Assembly for a new constitution. Standardization of basic services, water, electricity, and transportation. Nationalization of natural resources, copper, lithium, and the sea. Direct democracy with binding referendums. Vindicate the native peoples, respect and return the land. Health, education, and decent pensions. Quality and universal. Stop the abuse and end corruption. Murders, torture, missing people. How again have we returned to the terror of dictatorship, and now again in democracy? No, we are not at war, Mr. President, except against inequality and the terror caused by you and your cronies.
Y el pueblo, ¿dónde está? Y el pueblo está en la calle pidiendo dignidad. Y el pueblo, ¿dónde está? Y el pueblo está en la calle pidiendo dignidad. Y el pueblo, ¿dónde está? Y el pueblo está en la calle pidiendo dignidad. Y el pueblo, ¿dónde está? Y el pueblo está en la calle pidiendo dignidad.
And we're back in like a nanosecond.
There you go.
You know what? Let's get into that. Okay, so after this, you are going back to Chile.
Going back to Chile for 2 months. And, yeah, I'm going to try to be doing some other projects, see what I can get into. I'm not exactly sure. I think I'll make some more solo songs and do some videos. Or maybe even play with another band. We'll see. But after that, Het Hat Club is going to Brazil, February and March.
Nice.
And then we are going back to Hungary for April and May. And then we are going to Canada.
Holy shit, you're actually able to get back in there?
I am applying for my rehabilitation.
Okay, because if I remember on the last podcast, we were talking about where you've toured in North America, and unfortunately you could not legally go into Canada due to like some, I don't know, graffiti that you did here back
No,
in
it was,
the day?
I ran from the police for entering into East Hall here at Western Michigan's campus, and running from the police is a felony. So
apparently Canada does not like you running from the police. Go figure.
You can't run from American police for entering a building that's on the property of the university what you pay to attend.
I mean, really, if you see the way American cops are, you think they would understand why you want to run away from them. But
yeah.
Oh well.
Well, that should get sorted out with just some paperwork and some money.
So really, you can get back into some place that you're barred from.
Yeah, you have to apply for.
Okay.
You have to prove that it's been a certain amount of time has passed, and
you're rehabilitated.
You have one chance to apply and succeed. And it's been over 10 years now, so
you're good to go.
Pretty.
Now let's just forgive and forget, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, so last podcast we mostly talked about your performing travels in like Europe and North America. But yeah, I don't think we ever really talked about Chile or just South America in general.
Yeah.
We glossed over a little bit. So I have to ask, what was your first experiences in Chile like? Like, what attracted you to the country?
What attracted me to Chile was that I got a Chilean woman called Vika pregnant in Mexico. And we were originally going to be driving a car down to Chile together, but we got pregnant in Mexico, moved to Germany, but she decided that she was going to be better supported by her family if she moved back to Chile. So I was attracted to Chile about not being a totally absent father.
That's legit reasoning. You're a good man, Kjartan Code. Okay, and how often do you live there?
Well, I lived there for about 9 months. For the first 9 months, a year, for the first 2 years of my kid's life. Now he's 3. So this last year I was only there for about 3 months. So it ranges between 3 to 9 months a year, but it looks like I'm going to be spending more like 3 months a year there.
Okay, and how is life in Chile for you then, usually?
Well, I went with my accordionist first time, and we tried to make the Szkojani Charlatans happen down there, but there's just not the same kind of need for Hungarian, Romanian folk music there like there is in Hungary.
Or anywhere in Europe, generally.
Yeah, it's harder to be a musician down there, too. There's just a lot of great musicians and not a lot of shows happening. So we made most of our money playing on the bus.
Wait, the bus?
Yeah.
Like you were busking on a bus?
Yeah, like you wait at the bus stop, you get on, you play for like 3 stops, and then you go around with your hat, and then you jump off the bus and get on the next one.
Okay,
you go all around the city like that.
Okay, that's cool, because I've seen busking, like, in Chicago on their subway, the CTA.
Yeah.
But I've never heard of, like, busking on a literal bus.
It's kind of like surfing, because these buses are really fast and they break. So we're there with our violin and accordion, just like, you're standing there, like, with your legs spread out. And I've had times where we, like, get knocked down or slammed into somebody, or we just kind of, like, get on there and start getting really good at balancing to play while it's moving like that. But I mean, we were making we could make like $50 a day doing that. But it's a pretty hard day's work.
All right, how about we get to the meat of the matter here? Because, like I said earlier in this podcast, if some of you have been paying attention to the news, there's some shit going down in Chile right now, to say the least.
Yeah.
Yep, there's currently protests / uprisings / revolution going on, which I believe it's about in the over 50 days going right now, going strong. Mm-hmm. And what is it about?
Basically, it's a backlash against neoliberalism. When the dictatorship was put in the early 70s, Pinochet, they brought in a team of economic scientists called the Chicago Boys, and they established, they privatized everything because they had assassinated their socialist leader who wanted to make the country the goods, the resources, copper and ocean public, so that everybody would profit from that, rather than right now it's mostly 9 rich families in Chile that own everything, and then everything else is U.S. and Switzerland and Spain and France, some other countries that get the money, for their natural resources. It's post-colonial. It's still fighting colonialism, post-colonialism, neoliberalism. So it's about people are getting pushed out of their right to anything. So water, you can see that the farmers aren't even able to access the water around them, and there's droughts with their crops, and the water is just going to Nestle or something. And
which is actually what's happening here in Michigan. They're taking our water.
Yeah, so it's about the people that live in a country and use the resources should be the ones who benefit from them and have access to them. And that was in the cities. They were rising the prices of the metro multiple times that year, and it's the same kind of conflict we see where the minimum wage doesn't get higher, but rent gets higher, and so the prices in Chile are really expensive for the amount that you earn. I mean, buying a car, it costs 2 or 3 times more the price than here in the U.S. And rent is about the same as in the U.S., but the minimum wage is much lower. It's about $2 an hour. So it's really, and the metro ticket costs about $1 to ride, and it lasts for an hour. So sometimes you have to buy more, and it's $1 is a lot when it's $2 an hour is the minimum wage, because you need to basically work for 1 hour just to go to work and come home.
Well,
and
what are the conditions of the metro? Like,
now? Or
yeah, like, do they try to justify, like, oh, we have to upkeep it, so we're going to raise the prices?
yeah, the funny thing is that I'm not 100%. I don't know everything about the way the system of the metro works, but it's a government-run agency like the Postal Service here, but it's maintained by private companies. So the taxes of Chile pay for the construction of the metro system and pays for all of the workers. All the profits generated go to private companies then. So it's kind of, it's somebody's making the money, but that money is not being used for the metro system. It's just somebody's going to somebody's pocket. So
kind of like here in America. We kind of got a similar setup.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, America is also a neoliberal run country. Everything's privatized. Prisons and resources. I mean, you see what happened in Bolivia is about the lithium, and Chile has lithium too, and copper, and the whole coastline has been sold. I mean, part of the neoliberal policies is during liberal, leftist, democratic candidates. They had their first woman president. When she was the president, they established some more health care for everybody, more things for education, so and more rights for women. So everybody was feeling really like that they had a victory for the people, for all of these things like Obama. But at that time, that was when the government sold the entire coastline of Chile, which is really long. It's longer than the coastline of the U.S.
Yeah, it's a coastline.
The whole country's a coastline. They sold it all, so the whole coast is private now. There's no public areas. I mean, each city's got. You can go. They don't have it like barbed wired off, but somebody owns it all.
So, were you in Chile before this started these uprisings?
Yeah, well, the climate of Chile has been that the students are really active about protesting for these issues prior to this huge uprising. I was about to say,
did you see any signs that this was going to happen when you were living there?
Well, I mean, the school that my wife goes to is always getting occupied or shut down, and there's always protests where roads are closed. But nobody saw the sign that it was going to be like this huge thing. It started in a women's high school that they were going to just boycott the rise of the metro ticket, and everybody was going to storm 1 or 2 metro stations at the same time and just not pay, just as like an act of resistance. And that was Wednesday, October 16th. And October 17th, then like a lot of the high schools got on board. We saw a week before it happened. I have a lot of friends posting on Instagram and Facebook posters that this was going to happen. The resistance against the metro ticket fare. But on Friday, it just blew out of anybody's imagined proportion, because every high school student was at the metros destroying the ticket collecting devices, all of the security, basically the doors that keep you from getting in if you don't pay the fare. And it was a lot of like small destruction that went on, but that everybody saw that happen, and then the city was like shut down. The metros weren't working, and it got everybody riled up, and then there was a huge protests by everybody just joined in with it. And that weekend, the 19th and the 20th, there was the military in the streets and battles going on everywhere. And the Chileans are really experienced with dealing with riot police and tear gas. So it wasn't like people were prepared, and they've been like this for generations. So you have grandmothers screaming out windows, "Paco culiao," which means like "fuck the police." Nice. You have older people banging on pots and pans, and younger people doing it, and everybody that I saw is like really big support of this revolution. But there is the military class of people who, the police and the military, who during the dictatorship fought with the dictator to kill thousands of people. Pinochet, yeah. So and there's been a big tension ever since then between the military and the common people, because anybody who serves in the military gets free education, and they get free housing. So there's a whole district of the city that's got houses built for military and police. So for the military and the police, it's socialism, but for everybody else, it's not.
One of my favorite sayings was like, socialism for the top 1%, rugged individualism for the rest of us.
Yeah, what's the difference? What's something that's seen differently for rich people and poor people? And that's getting money from the government.
Corporate welfare.
If you get money when you're rich, it's a good thing. And if you get money when you're poor, it's yeah.
Yeah. So what has your personal experiences with the protests been?
I was on Friday going to my local metro stop to pick up my nieces and nephews so they could have a sleepover at my house with my son. And I was there when the high school students were destroying my station. And I just stood there in between it all. There was not enough police force to deal with it, so there was 4 police shooting tear gas into the crowd of the high school students. And it was all boys and girls with their faces covered in their school uniforms, going into the metro and back and forth when the police arrived. Because there was a time when there was a synchronized attack on the metro at like 4:30, 5 o'clock when school got out that the police weren't ready for. And so I saw them destroying the metro system, and then I saw 4 police arrive and start shooting them out. And I didn't see anybody really get hit with any objects or hurt, but definitely a lot of smoke and people not able to see and crying. And then I was there just like kind of not running away, but not going to like throw stones at the police, but just kind of there in case somebody did get hurt, or just to be like witnessing it. I made some videos, and then the next day, Saturday, the 19th, October 19th, I went out to the street in the nighttime as it starts to get dark, and just went pretty close to the battle. But there was localized battles all over the city, so each neighborhood had its own riots with the police driving in, and it's basically people will gather, and then the police come to disperse the gathering with violence, and then the people will fight back against the violence of the police. I mean, there is some destruction of signs and advertisements, people's anger towards the businesses and companies. So you don't see people destroying people's homes or destroying small businesses. You see people destroying like billboards and government property because of their anger of that, and metro stops, like bus stops, signs, and this kind of destruction was happening. But there was no like violence in between the people. It was, and now there's still protests all the time, and every weekend is a huge one with millions of people attending, and there's still battles between the police and the people. But what they're doing is the people who are fighting the police are creating a barrier around the crowd of 1 million people so that they can gather, because the police's aim is to disperse the gathering of the people.
Well, I looked up some stats this morning when I was preparing all these very professional questions for you. Let's see, according to Inquirer.net, which I've never heard of, so I don't know what their slant is, I think they say that there's currently 26 deaths, more than 12,000 injuries, and 20,600 people have been detained so far since the start of these protests. That sound about right?
Yeah. I think they're really trying to avoid more deaths, but most of those deaths happened in the first weeks. And there was a period when the seemed that the police were specifically targeting people's eyes. There's a lot of blind people get shot in the, because it's rubber bullets, but a lot of people are getting shot in their eye, and there was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I don't know, that's the statistic we should have, but it's over 100 or 200 people have lost an eye, and it really appears like it was an effort of the police to hit people's eyes as a way of scaring people from going to the protests.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and the deaths that happened in the very first days were brutal. I mean, people were burned and hung from nooses. There was a girl who was a clown, kind of a beloved clown of the city that the police targeted and hung her up with a noose. There was some people stripped naked. There's been a lot of rapes of the police against the people. People are really afraid of the police, and when you get detained, there's a lot of crazy stuff. I mean, there's men and women have been raped by the police, and you really don't want to get detained because you don't know what will happen to you.
Well, wow. I mean, have you been safe? Like, how about your family?
Well, my wife was really involved in participating in the protests. She puts up posters, and she goes close to the front line. The front line is the people who are taking the bullets and holding shields and trying to keep the tear gas from spreading into the big crowds of people. And she never is like really goes to the very front of that. She's really close, and yeah, luckily nothing's happened to any of us. I was staying home with my kid most of the time and letting her going out. But I mean, I did get tear gassed, and it's scary, especially when it's harder to breathe and you can't see. Things get disoriented, and as the police are coming, there's some people who get trapped in a way, and they shoot you with water cannons. I was walking home the weekend after the first week. I was babysitting all the nieces and nephews at their house, and the public transportation didn't work. because it was Friday night after the protest. I was walking home, and people were just leaving the protest, and the police came by in a big tank and started shooting water at us. I was maybe 5 people behind me, just 3 feet behind me. People got hit with water, but I ran and turned the corner. But you don't want to run either, because that gives the people who run are the guilty ones. So as soon as you run, you're a target, because if you didn't do anything wrong, then you shouldn't be running. But they're shooting you water at you, so you see people walking, getting shot with the water because they don't want to make themselves a target. But I ran and I turned around the corner. I made a live stream on Facebook during this time, actually.
That logic is kind of akin to, like, here in America, if a cop shoots someone, they say, like, well, you shouldn't have resisted.
Yeah.
Bullshit like that.
Yeah, like that. If you're running, then you must have done something.
Yeah. And in all your travels around the world, have you ever been in a situation like this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was in Istanbul the year after the failed revolution. There was a 1-year anniversary, and I was playing music in the street, and there was tear gas. The protesters were fighting the police. I ran with my instruments and my band. We hid in a store. They closed the doors, and then an hour later, I went home, and all the bricks were torn out of the ground, and there was things burning around and tear gas in the air. So that was my first time with tear gas. But in Chile, there's protests every week. Before this, in the city, activists are trying to gain things for the people. And so in Chile, if you just go shopping downtown, you'll smell tear gas occasionally, because usually you never turn into the protests because they happen and they get dispersed, but they're dispersed from the tear gas. So right. I have 2 tear gas canisters I brought back from Chile.
Wait, they let that come through customs here?
Well, they were used, and you can't really tell what it is. It's just a little teeny metal pod that they shoot from a gun. It's about an inch wide and inch tall.
When I imagine canisters,
they're like little. It's like a smoke bomb almost. You shoot it from like a shotgun.
And this is what they're trying to like shoot in your eyes and shit.
Well, they have like rubber bullets that they shoot in the eyes. These they can also shoot at you, but they're supposed to shoot it into the air, and it falls down into the crowd, and it only lets off smoke for like 1 minute, and then it runs out. So they're more just like the first tear gas they lay is that it's just to kind of you can shoot it out and build something. And they have bigger canisters too.
Yeah. Well, and since you're obviously a foreigner there, an American, has there been any particular way you've been treated since the protests?
As an American?
Yeah, especially because, America's involvement with...
Well, some of my friends, they don't have a problem with me, but there's definitely just like snide remarks or about me being like a fucking American, or like my kind of like commenting on my privilege or something, like a little bit of tension about that. Everybody knows that I'm like a left-wing person, and for the if I had voted for like Trump, for example, I'm sure that I would not be welcome in.
Actually, I don't think you'd be there. Period. Actually.
Right. If you're the kind of person who votes for Trump, you should just stay in your little village and never leave it.
You should probably die.
You're not really welcome anywhere in the world.
That's a good thing. We shouldn't welcome them here either, but that's the way it goes. Yeah, like none of your friends ever say like, "Oh, hi, CIA."
No, they just like, it's privileged stuff, they kind of like, there's a little bit of jealousy it just comes out like in something, and it's totally understandable. Like, you know, it's like, oh yeah, you want to be part of the revolution or something, but like it doesn't really. You can always leave. Like, this is like our life, and we can't. Well, it's part of we are fighting for it.
I mean, you technically have left, but you're gonna go back there in a week or two.
Yeah, but like I could just never go back.
Just show up.
And what happens in Chile does affect the rest of the world, but you could escape from it. But the conditions that will be determined of how this government will be structured and how people live there will be. Forever.
I mean. Especially if you look at other countries like Bolivia.
Sorry. Okay.
Don't worry. Okay, I just pretty much got one last question, and I guess we can wrap up this podcast. Yeah, I guess based on your own observations and from you living there, can you predict how this is all going to end?
Well, I think that we're in a we're in the final stand for the people all over the world. In Lebanon, and Hong Kong, and Chile, all over Latin America,
and
Iran, Iraq.
France recently.
France. So we need a change. We need a big change. And hasn't happened yet. And it's all up in air. I mean, it's... The most realistic thing is probably negative and pessimistic, and but it's not really worth to think about the most realistic outcome. It's better to focus on using whatever resources and privilege you have and trying to make that change happen now. And when it doesn't succeed, then we're more fucked. Climate change and governments, people are scared, and the right thing to do is stand up for working people and the general population of the world, and not for the 1% and the people who are controlling everything. We need people to make decisions and lead and be in charge of production of resources and
seize the means of
everything.
production.
But it's hopefully we can. Hopefully Chile holds force and makes the changes that we'll need, and the rest of the world can follow.
All right. Well, actually, I do have one more question, and it's actually probably the most important question in this podcast, and it's definitely, without a doubt, the more important than what's going on in Chile right now. You ready for it? What do you think about the candy canes in Bronson Park?
Yeah, I saw them. I think they're ugly.
For those who don't know, there's been a big hullabaloo about the candy canes in Bronson Park. The new ones are very plain, very gentrified looking, and they don't cross on top of each other to make an actual lane. And the residents of Kalamazoo, like the residents of Chile, have come together to battle this, and they got the old canes back.
I think there's some... Are they all up?
Oh, well...
Or they put some of the old canes up?
Oh, they put... Actually, Zach, they put in some of the old ones back, right?
Yeah, I saw downtown. I think there's like a row of old canes in the middle of the park.
Yeah.
But like all of the new canes are up. Yeah, I think that those are symbolic of how we are making these less... How can you say it? They look ugly and they suck and they're really expensive. But we build ugly ass buildings now. Things used to look nicer. Things used to be better quality, and that's how it is. At least we got candy canes.
So you see folks out there in the world, from Hong Kong to France to Chile. If we can win our revolution, so can you. All right, folks. I believe that's the end of this podcast. Right. I can tell you're ready to go, man.
I gotta pee again.
Okay. You want to quickly, you want to talk some promo here? Where can we find your music?
Oh yeah, you could hear the Chilean song that I did at soundcloud.com/Szkojani. That's SZKOJANI, and you'll be able to find our new album on Spotify and blah blah blah. If you look for Het Hat Club, that's HETHAT Club. HETHAT Club. That's Bandcamp, SoundCloud, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, everything. And I'm Kjartan Code, KJARTAN Code. You can find me and my projects on all of the social media.
Yep. You just want to run to the bathroom, I'll finish this all up.
Sure.
And he's off. Alright, I'll catch up with you in a sec. Alright, folks, and that is the podcast. Thanks to Charlatan for being on. And thank you, Zach, for hosting again.
You got it, buddy.
And we will... And before this all happened, we're currently trying to upload my next great novel, Golden Blood Harmony. Hopefully we will get this shit going, right after this. And thank you all for listening. You can find this podcast available on Anchor, YouTube, Internet Archive, Breaker, Spotify. Support the podcast, listen to it. And you can, of course, find everything about me at garretschuelke.tumblr.com. Oh, God, I should have mentioned that when I was mentioning the podcast. Yeah, you can find the page at the Garret Schuelke Podcast page on Facebook, YouTube at Schuelke Podcast. Yeah, I think we're good to go. Charlatan will be back in a sec from his quick bathroom break. Yeah, alright folks, hope you have a good day, and here's the outro song.
This song goes out to the whole Takazuka crew and the original Melon Boy. You know who's who. Melon boy, what you eat last night? watermelon for all. Grab a slice when you take a bite. Don't